This is Jessica Zdenek on November 1st, 2016, answering interview questions for Caroline Karani, who has my permission to use this audio for her project. So the first question is, when did I begin to invest in the interest of yoga, and what brought on that passion? I began to practice yoga with a VHS tape while I was in seminary back in 1999, and I was looking for a different way to exercise that brought some calm to my mind and integrated my body, because I felt like I was in academia and I was living like an MTV walking head and I was very disconnected from my body. So I got a VHS tape with Rodney Yee and did a 20-minute practice, and I was a total klutz on my mat and in pain, and I didn't like the practice, but I loved the Shavasana, the final resting pose, and I could tell that I had been transformed by the time I finished that practice. And so I kept coming back to it in order to maintain that connection to that deep peace. I knew that I would be a better person, and all of those people around me would appreciate it if I kept up this practice. So I did. So I see now, as I look at question number 2, how did I find the practice I prefer? And follow-up questions, am I still learning what I like, and what has changed over the years in my practice? Okay, so I did talk about discovering the practice through a Rodney Yee VHS tape. People may not remember what those are. And the practice I prefer is, yoga itself. The word yoga means to make whole or to unite. And so the practice of yoga itself is my own practice of wholeness. So and I think I discovered this in my yoga teacher training that I took, that it is unique to all of us. And, there's many different schools of thought on this. But this is coming out of more of the tantric tradition that sees the experiences in the body as sacred. So in many different religious practices, especially those that are more patriarchal, the tradition is to kind of pull people out of the body and into the realm of the mind, or this idea that they're reaching a pure spirit that's somehow transcendent from the body. And because of my own Christian beliefs in the incarnation and in divine spirit coming down into matter as being what I believe spiritual practices for me, I resonated more with the tantric tradition, which also saw the body as a vehicle for communion with the divine, and also included the realms of sexuality, which I felt had been kind of not talked about much in my own Christian upbringing. So I am still learning what I like within this tradition and continuing to practice wholeness as I honor my body and honor what it needs on a day-to-day basis. And that's an ongoing practice in many ways. What's changed over the years? Well, practically, I can touch my toes. I gained like many inches of flexibility. I could never reach my feet most of my life. I've also grown over a half inch in my 16 years or so of practicing yoga. The doctor has measured me taller. So physically, there's been changes. I survived my divorce. I don't know how I would have done it without my yoga practice, where I had to compassionately observe my feelings rather than getting possessed by them. I deepened my meditation. I've been able to maintain a connection to a well of deep inner peace in the midst of some of the most incredibly trying moments. And I think I'm developing more capacity to have compassion towards myself, as I've realized I think that is the practice to love and honor and integrate all parts of self. And that as we do that within ourselves, we are able to love others. What provoked the pursuit to teach? Question number 3. And the follow-up would tell me about the training, what is entailed, how I felt about it, things I didn't like. Did I learn anything more about myself through the process? Okay. So, what provoked me to teach? Oh, pause. Okay, I'm back in. I was just interrupted by one of my children. Okay, what provoked me to teach? Well, I was paying $250 or something like that a month to practice yoga 5 times a week. And it was getting to be expensive. And I thought, how can I do this for free? And I thought if I started to teach that I would be able to have lots of yoga in my life and not pay for it. And so that's how it began. Let's see, the training and what it entailed. I did it was about a 9-month program. It met every, once a month on a weekend, like Thursday through Sunday. So it was like an intensive. And I loved it. I did it as soon as I moved to Fargo, and I felt like it really helped me make a connection into the community here and helped me land jobs and kind of positioned me in an area where I was kind of seen and welcomed as a yoga teacher. So it gave me a role, and it was a very cool training because the teacher was a smarty pants, and she was actually on a track to become a medical doctor and found herself having lots of headaches that the medical industry could not fix. And then she realized through the help of some other healers that she could see people's auras and that she was tuning in at a very deep level to people energetically. And modern day science didn't have a place for her skill set. So she was like, in a way, kind of forced to go this alternative route. And she really put her brains into her teaching and into her schooling. So she knows Sanskrit, and she is really exposed to a lot of different branches in the school of yoga. So her training was very holistic, and I got a big, broad picture of yoga as opposed to being trained in just one specific tradition. She kind of served us up this big smorgasbord and let us sample a lot of different ways of doing yoga. And then we were encouraged to create our own practice and our own teaching style off of that and off of what resonated with our own disposition. So, let's see, things that I didn't like about the program. Gosh, that's hard. Probably just, girl drama. It exists in I think all communities where women gather, and when there's not a lot of consciousness put into dealing with our shadow issues, that kind of stuff can be annoying. But for the most part, there wasn't a lot of that until we stopped meeting regularly together. So let's see. Yes, I learned a lot about myself through the process. I learned that I'm a Vata, and that helped click so many different things in my life, because a Vata is an air sign, and I learned about different energetic types of bodies and how that relates to the personality. And I learned why I am the way I am, and it really helped me embrace my creative side and have compassion on my tendency to be spacey, because that is what happens to Vatas when they get out of balance. So each energy body has its own strengths and weaknesses, kind of like Pokemon cards. And so I kind of was able to hone in on like, oh, well, these are my, my powerhouse of skills and strengths, and really play on those while honoring, the shadow sides that are inherent with my energetic disposition, and say, okay, I can have grace towards this, and I know how to self-care when I get out of balance, and I know how to be conscious and how to begin to use my tools to support myself when I feel like I'm going unconscious. So that was amazing. to discover. Let's see. How did Terra Loma begin? Why has it progressed since you first conceived it? What goals do I have? How has this affected your life currently? Okay, so I came up with the idea. I think I've had a passion to create like a sanctuary or an alternative church for as long as, I don't know, since college. I think I had this vision, or I sensed a call that I was to create sacred community, but in a way that was unique and different. And so I began to really think about what that might look like as I wove together embodied practices of yoga with my spiritual background in ministry. So that idea was kind of birthed at the end of my program as a way to kind of connect my learning and bring it into the world. And it has been, I have to say, it's been one of the most challenging things to do, because as soon as you like move in one direction and say, I'm going to make a change in this direction, you immediately like constellate all of the opposites. And so I found, just as I continue to press into my growth edge and as I continue to develop and build this ministry, that all of the resistances are coming for me to look at. And the ones that are really challenging are the ones that come from within me. And so building this has been a spiritual journey as I look at the ways in which I doubt myself, or I self-sabotage, or, I'm giving too much power away to my doubts, and learning how to transform doubts into allies as I continue to practice wholeness. So it's been a challenge, and it has progressed in that it has continued. I keep trying to incarnate it into a building, and my physical location continues to be elusive. And I keep hearing from my spiritual guidance and in meditation, I keep hearing wait. And so it has taken on more of a form of a online sanctuary that exists on the astral plane and out in the interweb universe. And where that ministry happens varies within this town. So that's been kind of a different change, and I'm continuing to try to expand those offerings. So I started with just offering a few things, and now I've got a lot of different services on my website, and continuing to hone in on my particular gift that I have that's unique to offer to the world. So my goals that I have for my future, I just started to build like a mystery school, which I'm so excited about because I feel like I'm tapping into my inner Nancy Drew, and also braiding together all of these different things that I love and that fascinate me, such as understanding ancient goddess culture with spiritual practices and Christianity, and helping add more embodied spiritual practices that are more consciously relating to our life and to how we move about in the world. So anyways, I'm just really excited to begin to braid these different passions of mine together. And I'm excited to use the mystery school as a place to do that. And there's a lot of writing that's been happening. There's been a lot of channeling that's been happening as well, as I, in my meditation, have discovered that it's not just about finding the silence in meditation, but there was some kind of a big breakthrough that happened where suddenly I was tapping into thought streams and wisdom streams and receiving divine guidance in meditation. So there was these kind of breakthroughs that started to happen. And so now I'm learning how to do that for other people and how to read people energetically. And that's exciting too. How has this affected my life currently? Well, it has not been the money-making genie that I'm hoping for. However, as I continue to put value in myself and in my business, I'm confident that that value will also mirror itself in the world, because that's how things work. It has helped me house the different pieces of my soul and different gifts and passions that I have under one roof, which helps me in my process of making a self in the world, which I think is all of our processes as we work to be true to who we really are and to manifest that reality to be a blessing for others. It is a constant work in progress, and it has also been a blessing as it resonates with other people. So that's exciting. I am teaching, like 8 classes a week, and I teach at another studio. I teach at Mojo. So I teach around town in different places. And I teach a lot of hot classes, hot detoxing classes. I just started teaching one class. I teach women who are in their 70s how to do yoga, and that is awesome. And it's been so inspiring to have such a positive impact on people's lives, people who are in pain and who are uncomfortable all the time, and then start practicing yoga just a little bit, are noticing like huge shifts in their energy and in their health. And that is so cool. I don't know if anything makes me feel better than the ability to connect somebody with a practice that helps them feel better. So it's very affirming. Thoughts on mental health and healing yoga? Yes, that is where it's at. Again, yoga is about integration. And historically, U.S. medicine is not about integration. It's about quick fixes and popping a pill and avoiding and disassociating from problems so that you can continue to kind of go follow the herd or something. And, there's lots of ancient practices that we have connection to through the tradition of yoga and through other spiritual traditions that link us back to a more ancient way of understanding mental health, and that I see as more of the shamanic journey that also is about integrating and practicing wholeness. So I think the practice of meditation, practice of yoga, all of this is connected to building consciousness and to bringing more awareness into the body. And whenever you're breathing into the body, it works better. So it can't harm you when you're just doing meditation. It can only help. And I certainly have noticed it being tremendously helpful in dealing with extremely stressful situations and also in my parenting. So, yes, that is a way that I think we are moving as a culture, and doctors are now beginning to prescribe yoga to people. So that's cool. Yes, I think I touched on those variations for that question 5. It's vital for everyone. Yes, yoga is a practice for all bodies, all people. There's many different ways to practice yoga. Yes, I've grown emotionally through the practice. My practice is more based on definitely the spiritual, which can be challenging in a town I work in where I think they're more focused on the physical. And I really do believe that, without the spiritual component, we're kind of missing the point. So I try to find language that makes spirituality cosmic and work for as many people as possible, as I see that we are all human beings connected to the human family, connected to the earth, dependent on the earth, and a part of this grand, vast mystery that is unfolding in the universe that we all get to be a part of for a short period of time. And so we are sojourners together, and I try to take that commonality and to use it to provide spaces for inspiration in my practice. How have I balanced my life and time with yoga? Well, it's great because I'll have different, afternoons packed with teaching, and then I'll have days off. And I try to focus on my days off with my kids. And so I'm able to wear the mom hat and the yoga teacher hat and, do all the things I need to do. And it is a challenge to keep a balance for sure. How do the kids view through yoga and practice? My kids, they are funny. They tease me a lot, and they think it's really dorky because I'm dorky. But I think they secretly are watching and observing me, and they can tell that it is changing me and it's beneficial. And I will be teaching yoga at my son's kindergarten class at the end of the week, and I am excited to share yoga with 5-year-olds. And I think, they might not always tell me that they're proud of me, but, my daughter has come with me to my prenatal classes, and it's amazing to watch her kind of click in and observe me as a teacher and to see me in a different light, and that's been really fun. Any retreats? Yes, trainings out of state. Yeah, I've been doing a training in California over the past 6 months, and that's been really cool. It's been all about learning about how to meditate and move into different states of being, like trance states, to access different parts of the brain and to stimulate and awaken the frontal lobe and the crown chakra and really get the body's operating system focusing and thriving. And that's been really fun. Significant people that have changed my views or provoked my goals and practices. Yes. I have been studying with Dr. Marguerite Rigoglioso, and she founded the Seven Sisters Mystery School, and that has been really cool to blend together the ancient esoteric teachings that were kind of rooted in ancient goddess cultures, which were suppressed throughout patriarchy, and she brings a lot of hard intellectual backing to the work that we do in our meditation that really honors the ancient feminine and the ancient sacred oracle and the ancient priestess in a way that I haven't really found in other schools of thought and spirituality in modern day church, for sure. But also in the world, things tend to get more like academic and less embodied. And so she's really honoring that yin energy, which is primarily feminine. And that's been really empowering. What would I tell a beginner? Advice. Just begin. And begin every day and every moment, because we're all beginners. I think I read a really good book in college. It was called Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind. And just this concept of we're always beginning. And, we hold on to the guilt of all that we haven't done or all that we should do. And all of that just keeps you out of the present moment. Every present moment is a new beginning. And it's the work and the practice just to continue to stay there. And, you may find yourself out of the present moment and worried and blah, blah, blah. And then you just take a deep breath and you come right back to it. And, yoga has many limbs to it. We think of yoga and we think of the movements and the workout, and that's called asana. But yoga has many different parts to it. And yoga is about meditation. Yoga is about how you eat. Yoga is about ethics, and it's about how you live your life. And so all of yoga is about what skills and practices do we need to do to be whole people? And what I need to do to be whole may be very different than what somebody else needs to do to be whole, because we're all focusing on coming into balance and honoring our uniqueness and our individuality. So yoga is kind of the opposite of the McDonaldization of our culture that wants to give, one size fits all to everybody. Yoga honors the diversity of humanity and honors that each person's path is going to look different. Everybody, as they come into wholeness, they'll need different medicine. And so for one person to practice yoga may be simply to prepare for death and to make amends. And for another person to prepare to practice yoga may be to just meditate. And for someone else, it may involve a very vigorous standing postures routine and asana practice. So discerning what is the best practice for ourselves is the challenge and the task. What brings about my potential? What unlocks the life force within my body to function in a way that is in tune with my gifts and with my physical body? And how can I serve the world and allow this life force to flow through me most effectively and for the greatest good of all beings? So it is definitely a vast mystery, and it's also very simple. It's just a practice. So I hope that gives you the answers that you were looking for in this interview. It has been really fun to talk about all this stuff. And I wish you many blessings on this project and in your life. And I miss you, Caroline Karani. And you're just a gift, and you've been an important part of, my own growing into wholeness, as you were so supportive to me and my kids as our babysitter many years ago, and also as a friend. So I wish you many blessings and love, and I will look forward to talking with you again soon. Take care.